Hello there and welcome anybody who is joining us, whether you're joining us live or whether you are joining us to catch up later on. Welcome along to today's Desperate Yoga session. I'm back at home today, also joined by my dog, Bilbo. So he is channeling some nice chilled out energy for us today. So today's session is going to be thinking about the theme of alignment, which is something that's important in yoga. Partly we think about in yoga physical alignment of the body, and that means doing yoga poses in a particular way, which helps to minimize the stress on the body and to get the most out of them. But also we think of energetic alignment in yoga as well, and you might have heard of the chakras, which are energy centers, which are said to be located up and down the spine. So the idea of keeping them in alignment helps keep energy flowing. And Kundalini yoga as well talks a lot about keeping the energy channel of the spine open. So aligning the body, really important for both just your physical posture, but also energy as well. And also as well in yoga is this idea of aligning the breath and the body and the spirit all together. So we will be using that theme of alignment to actually move the body all the way through from the head to the toe, and then coming into our best and most beautiful mountain pose at the end. So it's lovely to have you along with us. If you're here for the first time, you need a chair, something like a dining room chair, but anything that you've got works for you. What you want is to be able to have your feet flat on the floor. So do adjust the height of the seat if you need to, if you're on an adjustable chair. And a little bit of space around about you to move your arms. And otherwise, that's it. That's all you need. Doesn't matter what you're wearing. You'll see I'm wearing my jeans today. So this is a practice that anybody can do. But do take care of yourself. So the movements that I'll be going through today are suggestions. So do what works for you. But don't push anything, and please don't injure yourself. Okay, so we're going to start, as we usually do, sitting up nice and tall on your chair. So come away from the back of the chair a bit, so you're sitting towards the edge. Make sure your feet are firmly planted on the ground, and then think about sitting up nice and tall. But at this point in time, we're not going to get too obsessed with getting everything in alignment. We're just going to think about sitting up nice and tall. Hands can be resting wherever feels most comfortable for you. So sitting up nice and tall, I'm going to invite you just to close your eyes or look down towards the ground. And then just start to let yourself land here. Maybe you've had to rush a bit to get here. Maybe feeling a bit flustered. That's all fine, it's all normal. Just letting yourself land here and putting aside those things you've got to do. They can wait till later. And then starting to bring your attention to your body. And let's start at the crown of the head and just work your way down gradually, just checking in with how things are today. Your head, your neck, your shoulders, upper body, arms, torso, hips, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. And just noticing how you are today. Excuse me. Not judging, just checking in. And then bringing your attention just gently to your breath and checking in with that today. And at the moment, we're not trying to do anything different with it. As I say, we're just starting off the class by noticing where we are now. And then at the end of the session, we'll check back in and see if anything's different. So, taking one more last deep breath here just to settle in. And then opening the eyes and lifting your head up, coming back to join us. Okay, let's get moving. So let's just start off with some gentle warming up of the neck. So as I say, we're going to sort of work head to toe in the session today. So let's just start by turning the head gently from side to side. Only go as far as feels right for your neck. And take it at a pace that suits you. The only thing I would say is don't go too fast. Just enjoy this stretch. Starting to bring that little bit of movement. And then even up, so you've done a similar number to both sides. And then we're going to take some little circles for the neck. But do keep imagine it as drawing circles with the nose rather than kind of circles with the whole head. And then let your circles get a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. The reason we think of it as circles with the nose is because we want to avoid taking the head too far back, because that's really not very good for the neck. So keeping it more the face going round rather than the head going round all the way round to the neck. And don't worry if there's any crunchy bits. That's what we're doing the movements for. And then once your circle's really big, we'll just flip it and go back in the other direction. And this time, we're just getting smaller and smaller as we come back to center. Lovely. Okay. So moving down from the neck, let's move down to the shoulders and the arms. So today I'm going to invite you to take your arms out straight to the sides and trying to have them in alignment with your shoulders at this stage. Often having things out at shoulder height is actually lower than you think. A lot of people kind of bring their arms up here, but actually shoulders is often a little bit lower, and it can feel like you're looking down on your hands when you've got them at shoulder height. So first of all, just having the arms out like this is really helping to warm up through the shoulders. But I'm going to invite you to sort of turn the hands forwards and then back. And what that's doing is it's kind of opening up through the chest as we bring the shoulders forward, and then closing the chest in a little bit as we bring them back. And so just turning the hands one way and then the other way. And again, you might start to get some creaking in the shoulders. That's not a bad thing. It's just a sign that your body really is craving this movement. And we'll do that a few more times. You might start to find your arms getting a bit tired. That's completely normal. The sun suddenly started shining through the window here, which is lovely, but I hope it doesn't do anything funny to the camera and you can't see. Okay, let's take one more of those and then bring the arms down. Maybe give them a little bit of a shake out. So we've warmed up through the shoulders. Let's start to think about warming up through our middle section here. So first of all, I'm going to invite you to take a really big stretch up. So just bring the arms up and overhead and think about sort of reaching up. You're lifting your body up out of the hips here. So getting lots of length in the sides of the body. And then drop your right hand down and onto the chair somewhere, just using that for stability. And then we'll reach that left arm up and then over a little way for a nice big side stretch. Make sure that you keep that left hip nicely grounded down, so keeping both hips evenly balanced on the chair. And then lifting back up, dropping that hand down, then we'll bring the right hand up, left hand down onto the chair. And again, think about reaching up first of all before you go over. So reaching up, getting lots of length down the right side of the body, and then taking it over to the left hand side this time. And then bring it up, reaching up, and drop that down. And again, do just give your arms a little bit of a shake out if you need to. So we started to create a little bit of length through the sides of the body. We're now going to think about warming up the back, and we'll do that with our cat and cow stretches. We've done this lots of times before, for those of you that have been coming regularly, but for anybody who's new, we're going to start sitting towards the edge of the chair, so you've got a bit of space behind you, and feet nice and flat on the floor, sitting up tall, and then thinking about, first of all, lifting the chin up, opening through the chest, and bringing a little bit of an arch to the back here, and then flipping that, rounding through the spine, tucking the chin in, tucking the head in, rolling the shoulders forwards, and coming into this curled in position. And then just alternating between those two. So lifting the head up, opening through the chest, a little bit of a back bend, and then rounding through. And it can be quite nice to start to coordinate this with the breath. So inhaling as you lift the head up, and exhaling as you curl in and tuck the chin into the chest. As you bring the head up, as I talked about before, don't crunch too much in the back of the neck. Think more about looking up the wall in front of you than looking up towards the sky. And then rounding through. And we'll take one more round. So coming up. And then curling in. And then coming back to neutral. So we've warmed up the sides of the body, warmed up the back, and we'll just do a little twist as well, which is also great for aligning the spine as we're sitting here. So you bring your right hand across to your left knee, and your left hand around and plant it somewhere behind you. Where it goes will depend on your chair, your body, but you want somewhere where you feel it'll give you a little bit of kind of leverage there, just to roll that shoulder open, turn the head, and come into a little twist here. We're not going to go, it doesn't need to be your biggest twist ever here, because we're still just warming up. Haven't done much movement yet. And then we'll come back to center, then we'll cross the other side. So take your left hand this time, cross to your right knee, right hand comes around behind, and then again plants wherever on the chair works for your chair and your body. Then taking the head with you as far as it can go, and trying to lead by opening up through that shoulder, is turning around the most rather than making it about the hand going round. And taking a couple of breaths there, just really enjoying sort of wringing out the spine here. And then coming back to center. Okay, so let's come up to standing. And we're sort of moving the spine in all directions here. So we sort of forwards and backwards, and then twisting around through the spine. And we're going to do a downward facing dog now, which is just a great stretch out for the back. And we're starting to warm up into the hips now as well. So come to standing, hands on the back of your chair, or if your chair is really wheelie and you're worried about it rolling off, then you could use a table or something instead here. And then just walk your feet backwards until you come into a nice stretch here using the back of the chair. So let your head come between your arms and think about pulling back from the hips. So your hips are the part of your body that's moving furthest away. Here, it doesn't matter if you like to have your knees bent, that's absolutely fine. What we're really looking for is a nice big stretch through the back. Take a little bit of a wiggle here, that feels good. And then we'll just gently lift up, walk it back to center, just coming out slowly. And then maybe a little bit of a shake out there as well. Okay, so working our way down, we've done the shoulders, we've done the torso. Let's now come to the hips and the legs. So we'll start by just doing some hip circles, which are just great for getting everything moving. So bend the knees. You want your feet maybe a little bit wider than hip distance apart, but what you really want here is a nice stable base. And just taking the hips in some big circles here one way, and then flip it, go back in the opposite direction. Almost like you're hula hooping here. Just getting some really nice big circles. Getting everything moving. And then coming back to center. And let's do a bit of kind of warming up now for the legs and the feet, and then we're going to come into a balance posture. But this is going to be a little bit of a balance as well. So plant your feet down firmly on the floor, feet about hip distance apart. Then we're going to think about as you inhale, coming up onto your tiptoes, reaching the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, dropping the heels down, dropping the arms down. We'll do that a few more times. So coming up onto the tiptoes, reaching up overhead. See how your balance is today. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, don't worry, completely normal. And then lifting the arms up overhead. We're just getting used to this idea of balancing, warming up through the feet and the ankles. We're using all of the legs here to help stabilize this. So just great for just starting to challenge the body a little bit. Okay, and then maybe shake that out. So, as I said, we're going to come into a balance, which is always a good way of checking your alignment and seeing where you're at today. Because obviously, the more you've got everything kind of stacked, all the bones stacked up on top of each other, will give you a much more stable base for balance. So the balance we're going to do is tree pose, which we've done before if you've been coming for a while. But if it's new to you, don't worry, I'll talk you through it. So I'm going to suggest that you have your chair nearby to put your hand on if you need to, or a wall as well, just something if you're feeling a little bit wobbly. You don't want anybody crashing and having any disasters. And let's start by we'll start with a hand on the chair if that feels good for you, and take your weight over to the leg which is nearer the chair. So it doesn't matter which leg you do, so we're going to do both sides. So you don't necessarily need to move your chair around at the moment. You can just go with the one that's near the chair. So first of all, just taking your weight over into that leg. And then once you're in, thinking about kind of pressing up through that leg. So we're not kind of dumping all your weight down. We're actually kind of thinking about lifting up here. And then bring the other foot, which is now just sort of floating, and decide where you're going to place it. So we're going to open out the hip. Then maybe you just pop the toe on the ground if you're feeling a little bit wobbly today. Maybe you bring the foot to the calf and coming into that. The only place I would say don't put your foot is right on the knee, because that's not good for the knee joint. Because again, talking about alignment, that kind of pushes the knee out of alignment. So onto the calf or just down on the ground, and then check in with your balance. Maybe finding a focal point somewhere across the room in front of you. Then if you feel okay to do it, bringing the hands up and together at your chest in prayer position. Thinking about lifting up your chest, your sternum, your breastbone here, lifting that up towards your thumbs. So pressing your thumbs into your breastbone and lifting up there, and using that as a cue to help you to lift up as well. Lengthening through the crown of the head. embodying a beautiful tree. And gently close your branches, pop your foot down, pop your hands down, and maybe shake the legs out a little bit. And then we'll come over to the other side. So again, having your chair near the standing leg for support, or your table or whatever it is you're using. First of all, taking all your weight over into that leg, and then thinking about growing up out of it, stacking up the bones in the leg, getting really strong and stable through that leg. Then opening out your branch, deciding where you're going to pop your foot, whether it's going to be down on the ground, whether it's going to be on the calf. Either is fine. And then start to see how your balance is. Bring your free hand up to your breastbone at least. And then again, you can put the thumb against your chest and think about lifting your chest up towards your thumb. And maybe bringing the other hand to join it if that's okay for your balance. Finding the focal point somewhere across the room can be really helpful. And thinking about growing up out of the legs so you're not kind of dumping all your weight down. Lifting those fingers up towards, lifting your chest up towards those thumbs. Breathing. And then closing your branches, popping that foot down, and again having a little shake out through the legs. Pop my chair out of the way a little bit there. Okay, so we've worked our way all the way through the body now, from the crown of the head all the way down to the toes, and let's just get ready to check in with the body again. But we're going to finish with one more twist, because that is, as I say, a great way of just aligning everything. You know, if you sort of feel you're a bit wonky to one side, anytime you feel you're a bit wonky, a twist will almost always sort you out. So let's bring the arms out to the sides again. In that, let's have Angel of the North arms. And then just bend your knees a little bit so you're not jarring them. And just turn your arms and your chest around to one side. And then back to center. And gentle bend in the knees again and round to the other side. Only go as far as feels good. Back to center, and then just drop the arms down. Okay. So now we're going to build into finishing in your best and most beautiful mountain pose. Now that we've kind of checked in with all the body, ready to bring everything back into what for you is perfect alignment. It doesn't matter if somebody looking from the outside think you look a bit wonky. It's what feels right to you from the inside. So let's work it from the ground up. So get your feet hip distance apart. Directly underneath your hips, that's the most stable place for them to be. And then that way you can stack up through the bones of the legs to be nice and balanced across both sides. And check in with that a little bit. So you could do a little bit of a sway side to side or front to back. And just make sure that you are in alignment with all your weight perfectly balanced across the different sides of the feet. And then think about drawing energy up through the legs, engaging the thighs slightly just to help support you. Coming up and checking in with the pelvis, making sure you've got a natural curve in your lower back, but you're not kind of like sticking out or leaning forwards. We're looking for that kind of natural curve there, and the pelvis and what is alignment for you. Then coming up to the spine and the torso, engaging the abdominal muscles slightly just to help support the back, but really just very slightly. And then thinking about lifting across the shoulders, across the chest, rolling the shoulders back, bringing the shoulder blades just into their pockets in the back of the body, and your arms are just hanging down loose at your sides. Maybe thinking about having, if it works for your body, your middle finger about sort of in a line with the seam of your trousers. And then up to the neck, lots of space around the neck, lifting up through the crown of the head, chin level. And once you get there, just close your eyes and feel how this feels from the inside. We'll do that same little exercise that we did at the beginning. So starting at the feet this time, and just gradually scanning up through the body, noticing how it feels, and noticing any differences to how you felt when you first came in. So the feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, pelvis, torso, chest, arms and hands, neck, and then head. And just starting to feel from the inside how it feels to be nicely aligned, and kind of putting that in your body's memory bank for later. And then just taking a couple of nice deep breaths in and out, just to seal the deal. When you're ready, just gently opening the eyes or bringing your eyes up from the ground, bringing your hands together into prayer position in front of the heart. And that's where we'll finish today. So I hope that you are feeling more aligned and balanced than you did before, and see you again soon. If you do feel like putting any comments or likes or anything like that, that's great, because it just lets you know there are some people there. And thank you. Namaste. And from Bilbo as well, although he's still sleeping. Bye.